So I have been speaking to many of the skeptics in the past few months to years, and this argument is being brought up very often. Even yesterday, when there was a debate between science's dope and carpenter's desk, this appeal to this particular fallacy called as appeal to authority is being used by the skeptics often. I could say that the idea of using a quotation from a scholar is probably not very good enough in a particular short debate like that. Maybe a more nuanced argument can be made for the case of the Christian's position that the Christianity is compatible with science, and then maybe quote the scholars. But nonetheless, there is a gross misunderstanding of what the appeal to authority is from the skeptic's side. And just a surprising thing for you to understand, appeal to authority is actually not a fallacy in most of the cases. In fact, many of these skeptics like Science's Dope or Vimo or Satya Anveshi, who claim to be like beacons of truth and science, that they are like working for scientific temper, simply do not seem to be understanding that science itself works based on a lot of authority. See, appeal to authority. Go to any medical journal or any journal for that matter, you will see hundreds of citations below the article. The more number of citations, more valuable the article is considered usually. What does it usually denote? It denotes simply that the article is based on the appeal to authority by other experts who have already been working on the same field. So which brings us to the actual definition, which is more precise in this particular article, from the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. You appeal to authority if you back up your reasoning by saying that it is supported by what some authority says on the subject. Most reasoning of this kind is not fallacious, and much of our knowledge properly comes from listening to authorities. See, as I said, science depends on this kind of appeal to authority, fortunately. And I don't know why these people are not aware of that. However, appealing to authority as a reason to believe something is fallacious whenever the authority appealed to is not really an authority in this particular subject. When the authority cannot be trusted to tell the truth, when the authority disagrees on this subject, except for the occasional lone wolf, when the reasoner misquotes authority, and so on. Although spotting a fallacious appeal to authority often requires some background knowledge about the subject or the authority, in brief it can be said that it is fallacious to accept the words of a supposed authority when we should be suspicious of the authority's words. So, as you can see, in the normal case of situations, giving a quotation or giving an expert opinion from a person who is an expert in that particular field of discussion is absolutely fine. It is not actually fallacious. Technically, it is not a fallacy at all to begin with. It is a fallacy when you make it, similar to argumentum ad populatum. Argumentum ad populatum, something like appeal to a popularity. You have some kind of a famous person, a celebrity or TV anchor or someone, or even a famous person like Richard Dawkins or Christopher Hitchens, claiming that they are an expert in a particular field like history or philosophy. That is what the actual appeal to authority actually looks like. When you are quoting people like Christopher Hitchens for historical claims, when you are quoting people like Richard Dawkins for your philosophical claims, that is exactly what is the textbook definition of appeal to authority. And similarly, going to the Stanford encyclopedia of philosophy also, it gives the similar sort of definition for appeal to authority fallacy. The ad verecundiam fallacy concerns appeal to authority or expertise. Fundamentally, the fallacy involves accepting as evidence for a proposition the pronouncement of someone who is taken to be an authority but is not really an authority. That is all the meaning of the fallacy is. Just appealing to an expertise, appealing to a historian of science when they're dealing with the question of whether Christianity is historically compatible with science, or trying to deal with the growth of or decline of Christianity by quoting a quotation from sociologists like Rodney Stark or similar group of sociologists. It is actually valid. Accepting their expertise is absolutely valid. On the contrary, when I am saying that the majority consensus of the scientific community is saying something about this particular topic, and you are saying no, you are appealing to numbers, you are appealing to popularity, you have the burden of proof on you. Actually, you have the burden of proof to actually prove that the majority consensus of the experts in that particular field are wrong. let's say, for example, in this particular discussion that the carpenter's desk and the science dope is having, only 3% of the historians of science or philosophers of science are claimed that Christianity was a important factor for the growth of science. You would have certainly said, no, we don't want to accept this lone wolves, isolated cases, we don't want to accept that. But when the whole consensus of the historians of science is that Christianity was an integral part in the development of modern science, all of a sudden it has changed into, rather than a proper discussion, it becomes into an appeal to authority fallacy. I don't know how it happens. Again, this is all disingenuous and shows the lack of integrity on the part of people like Satya Anveshi, Sciences Dope and so on. Rather than dealing with actually what experts are saying, once the expert opinion has been given, the debate is already over. Yesterday's debate was already over. It's actually over. It's a no-brainer. Christianity is completely compatible with science, at least as far as the fact that it did not hinder the scientific community or scientific progress in the past 1600 years. So the debate was a no-brainer. The win should be obviously for the carpenter's desk, but obviously I understand the skeptics won't accept this.